Hey everyone, I have my Seed Folks copy here, and this is going to be your Slaby reads of the chapter. What I'd like you to do, if possible, is follow along. So while you hear me, because you don't need to see me, I'd like you to follow along in in the PDF that I gave you. So there's two of them for today. There's one for Anna, and then there's one for Wendell. So there's a little bit of reading today. All right, two chapters. Here we go. And remember, as you listen, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to read with me, and then go back and fill out your worksheets. So there's really three things to do today. There's one, which is the character sheet, which is like information about the character. Two, there is the information about the map. I want you to sort of identify where people are from in the global map. And then third is you're sort of just taking a moment and framing what you think the plot looks like. So we'll do that 4 times. So I want you to sort of visualize where people are and what it looks like. And it's something just to keep track of the location. All right, here we go. I do love to sit and look out the window. Why do I need TV when I have 48 apartment windows to watch across the vacant lot and a sliver of Lake Erie? I've seen history out this window. So much. I was 4 when we moved here in 1919. The fruit sellers' carts and coal wagons were pulled down the street by horses back then. I used to stand just here and watch the coal brought up by the handsome lad from Groza, the village my parents were born in. Gibb Street was mainly Romanians back then. Excuse me. It was adio and goodbye in all the shops when you left. Then the Romanians started leaving. They weren't the first or the last. This has always been a working class neighborhood. It's like a cheap hotel. You stay until you've got enough money to leave. A lot of Slovaks and Italians moved in next. Then Negro families in the Depression. Now, I mentioned that word in the warm-up for today. So there's something that you need to know about her use of that word that is important. Gibb Street became the line between the blacks and the whites, like a border between countries. I watched it happen through this very window. I lived over in Cleveland Heights for 18 years. Then I moved back in to take care of my parents. That border moved too. Most all the whites left. Then the steel mills and the factories closed, and everybody left, like rats. Buildings abandoned. Men with no work drinking from 9 to 5 instead down there in the lot. Always the sirens, people killing each other. Now I see families from Mexico and Cambodia and countries I don't know. 12 people sometimes in one apartment. New languages in the shops and on the street. These new people leave when they can, like the others. I'm the only one staying. It's so. Staying and staring out the same window. This spring I looked out and saw something strange. Down in the lot, a little black-haired girl hiding behind that refrigerator. She was working at the dirt and looking around suspiciously all the time. Then I realized she was marrying something. I never had children of my own, but I've seen enough in that lot to know she was mixed up in something she shouldn't be. And after 20 years typing for the parole department, I just about knew what she'd buried. Drugs, most likely, or money, or a gun. The next moment, she disappeared like a rabbit. Now, hopefully, you don't know that much about what a parole department is. So if someone goes to prison, they serve their time. And then when they get to leave, or it's been decided they get to leave because they've served their time, they go into what's parole. And parole is sort of after you're out of jail, all eyes are on you to see that you know how to get back into society and not commit the same crime that got you in jail. So that's what parole officers do. They follow up with people who were convicts. So she's doing work for those officers who are following up with convicts. So if you imagine, she sees the world through that lens, right? She sees the world through criminal lenses. She's used to people doing stuff. Look what she just did. She made a judgment based on her experience about this little girl burying something in the lot. And you should know by now who this little girl is. I thought of calling the police. Then I saw her there the next morning, and I decided I'd solve this case myself. We had a long spell of rain then. I didn't set eyes on her once. Then the weather turned warm, and I saw her twice more. always in the morning on her way to school. She was crouched down with her back to me, so I couldn't see just what she was doing. My curiosity was like a fever inside me. Then one morning she was there, glancing about, and she looked straight up at this window. I pulled my head back behind the curtain. I wasn't sure if she'd seen me. If she had, she wouldn't leave her treasure buried long. Then I knew I'd have to dig it up before she did. I waited an hour after she left. Then I took an old butter knife and my cane and hobbled down all 3 flights of stairs. I worked my way through that awful jungle of junk and finally came to her spot. I stooped down. It was wet there and easy digging. I hacked and dug, but didn't find anything except for a large white bean. I tried a new spot and found another, then a third. Then the truth of it slapped me full in the face. I said to myself, what have you done? 2 beans had roots. I knew I'd done them harm. I felt like I'd read through her secret diary and had ripped out a page without meaning to. I laid those beans right back in the ground as gently as sleeping babies. Then I patted the soil as smooth as could be. The next morning she was back. I peeked around the curtain. She didn't look up here or give any sign that she noticed something wrong. I could see her clearly this time. She reached a hand into her school bag. Then she pulled out a jar, unscrewed the lid, and poured out water onto the ground. That afternoon, I bought some binoculars. So think about this. So Anna thought she saw something and she acted on it. And it turns out she was entirely wrong. And that word, she did damage, I think is a really key word. The question to think about is, can our thoughts do damage? Can they lead to damage? Especially thoughts that are wrong? Really important question. All right, Wendell. My phone doesn't ring much, which suits me fine. That's how I got the news about our boy, shot dead like a dog in the street. Whoa. And the word last year about my wife's car wreck. I can't hear a phone and not jerk inside. When Anna called, I was still asleep. Phone calls that wake me up are the worst. We are 1 paragraph in and think about what this guy has experienced. This is Wendell. Right? Wife, car wreck, son shot. Get up here quick, she says. I live on the ground floor and watch out for her a little. We're the only white people left in the building. I ran up the stairs. I could tell it was serious. I prayed I wouldn't find her dead. When I got there, she looked perfectly fine. She dragged me over to the window. Look, down there, she says. They're dying. Not what you want to say to a guy who's experienced death, right? What? I yelled. The plants, she says. I was mad. She gave me some binoculars and told me all about the Chinese girl I found I found the plants and got them in focus. There were 4 of them in a row, still little. They were wilted. Leaves flopped flat on the ground. Think about that. He automatically assumed she was Chinese. We know that's not true, but he doesn't. Neither does Anna. That's a big deal, right? That's our frame, is he's making assumptions just like she made assumptions. Is it damaging? I mean, that's the thing, is that's really one of the things that this book is supposed to talk about, is you only see through your eyes, right? And that creates meaning. And what does that do? What are they? She asked. Some kind of beans. I grew up on a little farm in Kentucky, but she planted them way too early. She's lucky those seeds even came up. But they did, said Anna, and it's up to us to save them. It was a weekend in May and hot. You'd have thought that those beans were hers. They needed water, especially in that heat. She said the girl hadn't come in 4 days. Sick, probably, or gone out of town. Anna had twisted her ankle and couldn't manage the stairs. She pointed to a pitcher. Fill that up and soak them good. Quick now. School janitors take too much bossing all week to listen to an extra helping on weekends. I stared at her one long moment, then took my time about filling the pitcher. So think about what he just did there. We know what he does, but he didn't say, I'm a school janitor. He said, school janitors take too much bossing around. He's basically saying, I do this all day. I walked down the stairs and into the lot and found the girl's plants. You don't plant beans till the weather's hot. Then I saw what had kept her seeds from freezing. The refrigerator in front of them had bounced the sunlight back on the soil, heating up like an oven. I bent down and gave the dirt a feel. It was hard-packed and light-colored. I studied the plants, leaves shaped like spades and a deck of cards. Definitely beans. I scraped up a ring of dirt around the first plant to hold the water in any rain that fell. I picked up the pitcher and poured the water slowly. Then I heard something move and spun around. The girl was there, stone still, 10 feet away, holding her own water jar. She hadn't seen me behind the refrigerator. She looked afraid for her life. Maybe she thought I'd jump up and grab her. I gave her a smile and showed her that I was just giving her plant some water. This made her eyes go even bigger. I stood up slowly and backed away. I smiled again. She watched me leave. We never spoke one word. I walked back there that evening and checked on the beans. They'd picked themselves up and were looking fine. I saw that she made a circle of dirt around the other 3 plants. Out of nowhere, the words from the Bible came into my head. And a little child shall lead them. I didn't know why at first. Then I did. There's plenty about my life I can't change. Can't bring the dead back to life on this earth. Can't make the world loving and kind. Can't change myself into a millionaire. But a patch of ground in this trashy lot, I can change that. Can change it big. Better to put my time into that than moaning about the other all day. The little grammar school girl showed me that. The lot had buildings on 3 sides. I walked around and picked myself out a spot that wouldn't be shaded too much. I dragged the garbage off to the side and tossed out the biggest pieces of broken glass. I looked over my plot, squatted down and fingered the soil a while. That Monday, I bought a shovel home from work. All right, that's the reading for today. And some work to do.